Have you ever wondered what would happen if an entire city suddenly demanded you become their spiritual leader, even though you weren't even baptized? Not trained, not prepared, not willing. Just an ordinary day until the weight of destiny drops onto your shoulders. That's exactly what happened to Ambrose, a Roman governor who stepped into a chaotic cathedral to calm a riot and walked out destined to become one of the greatest saints of the Western world. To understand this moment, imagine Milan in 374 AD, a massive city, a political powerhouse, a religious battleground. The bishop has just died, and the two major Christian factions, Catholics and Arians, are at each other's throats. Streets are tense. Markets echo with arguments. Noble families split in anger. Soldiers stand by, waiting for orders. Ambrose enters a cathedral not as a priest but as a regional governor, trusted for his fairness and leadership. The cathedral is packed wall to wall with citizens screaming over who should become bishop. Voices clash like weapons. Violence feels seconds away. Ambrose raises one hand, just one, and the room falls silent. His voice, calm and steady, cuts through the tension. He speaks about unity, peace, and wisdom, not as a preacher, but as a servant of the people. And for the first time in days, both sides listen. Then, from somewhere in the sea of faces, a voice rings out. Ambrose for bishop. Ambrose freezes. Someone must be joking. He isn't baptized. He has zero theological training. He has never served the church. But then more voices join. Ambrose for bishop. Ambrose for bishop. In moments, the entire cathedral thunders with one unified cry. Catholic and Arian alike, two factions that rarely agreed on anything, agree suddenly on this. Ambrose panics. He rushes out. He hides. He begs the emperor to intervene. He insists as unworthy, unprepared, unfit. He even tries to make himself look disqualified through deliberately questionable legal decisions. But nothing stops the momentum. The emperor approves. The people insist. The church accepts. Ambrose surrenders, not to ambition, but to God's will. In just one astonishing week he is baptized, ordained, consecrated as Bishop of Milan. A man who entered the cathedral to prevent a riot walks out as the shepherd of an entire city. This is the beginning of the story of Saint Ambrose, a governor who became a saint, a diplomat who became a father of faith, a man whose voice would shape emperors, convert Augustine, and change the church forever. Before Ambrose stood before emperors or guided cities, he was simply a child born into a world of privilege, power, and mystery. Ambrose entered the world around 339 AD in Trier, one of the largest cities in the Roman Empire. His father, Ambrosius, was prefect of Gaul, a prestigious position overseeing vast regions of Western Europe. His family lived in wealth, but also with duty, honor, and Roman discipline woven into daily life. But Ambrose's childhood wasn't known only for education or noble heritage. It was known for a miracle. One afternoon, as baby Ambrose slept peacefully in his cradle, a swarm of bees descended upon him. His caretakers were terrified. Bees meant stings, pain, danger. But instead of attacking, the bees swirled gently around the infant. One bee even entered his mouth and exited without causing harm. Just as suddenly as they came, the bees rose into the air and flew away. His father, witnessing the event, whispered a prophecy that would echo through history. This child will grow to speak with honey on his lips. The miracle wasn't just poetic. It foreshadowed the eloquent, powerful voice Ambrose would one day use to defend truth, comfort the suffering, and convert one of Christianity's greatest minds, Augustine. Ambrose grew up with two remarkable siblings. Marcellina, a devout woman who later became a consecrated virgin and spiritual mentor. Satyrus, wise, disciplined, and deeply loyal, who would become Ambrose's strongest supporter. Their household was filled with learning. Ambrose mastered Greek, Latin, rhetoric, philosophy, and law. Even as a child, his teachers noticed something unusual. He could calm arguments with his words. People listened when he spoke, not because he demanded attention, but because he carried a natural authority. And now, if you're loving this deeper look into the life of Saint Ambrose, go ahead and like the video, comment your favorite moment so far, and subscribe for more powerful stories of saints and history. Your support keeps these inspiring stories alive. Growing up in a world of privilege and prophecy, Ambrose had no idea how dramatically his life would change. He pursued public service, not priesthood. He chased justice, not spiritual leadership. But destiny had already begun shaping him. And soon, adulthood would arrive to transform the governor into a legend. When Ambrose entered adulthood, he followed the path expected of men of his class: law, governance, and public duty. He had no visions of priesthood, only ambitions to serve the state. His brilliance quickly became clear. Ambrose excelled in rhetoric, philosophy, and civil law. His fluency in Greek made him uniquely valuable, bridging cultural gaps between the Latin West and Greek East. His reputation grew so rapidly that the imperial court took notice. By his early 30s, Ambrose received one of the most powerful administrative positions in the region, governor of Emilia Liguria, stationed in Milan. This city was not just a provincial center, it was practically the capital of the Western Empire. As governor, Ambrose became known for his fairness, gentleness, intelligence, and unshakable calm. People trusted him. Citizens, soldiers, nobles, and clergy alike admired him. He could ease tensions with a single conversation. His court cases were known for justice, not corruption. But his adulthood would take an unexpected, world-shifting turn. When the Bishop of Milan died, chaos exploded. Catholics and Arians competed for power. Riots roared through the streets. The city teetered on collapse. Ambrose, seeing the danger, entered the cathedral to restore order. He never expected what came next. His speech calmed the crowd. His wisdom soothed tension. And the people, Catholic and Arian alike, saw in Ambrose not just a politician, but a spiritual leader. They demanded he become bishop. Ambrose resisted every step. He ran. He hid. He begged the emperor to deny the request. He insisted he wasn't baptized, wasn't trained, wasn't qualified. But destiny had already chosen him. In a single week, everything shifted. Ambrose was baptized, ordained, and elevated to the bishopric. Once a governor, he was now a bishop. He immediately gave away his wealth to the poor. He devoted himself to intense theological study. He became a defender of the faith during a time of heresy and political instability. Adulthood had shaped him into a man of virtue, leadership, and intellectual brilliance. But what awaited him next, miracles, suffering, and moral conflict, would test him like nothing else. Ambrose's ministry as bishop was not peaceful. It was a battlefield of faith, politics, miracles, and hardship. One of the most astonishing miracles associated with him happened when he discovered the relics of the martyrs Gervasius and Protasius beneath a church floor. When he prayed over the relics, people reported miraculous healings. A blind man regained his sight. Crowds were moved to tears. The event strengthened the city's faith and cemented Ambrose's reputation as a man favored by God. But miracles didn't shield him from suffering. Arianism, a heresy claiming Jesus was not fully divine, was tearing the empire apart. Many nobles, military leaders, and even influential bishops supported it. Ambrose stood nearly alone as a voice of orthodox teaching in Milan. He refused to hand over churches to Arian factions. Tensions rose. Soldiers surrounded his basilica, but Ambrose and his people remained inside, praying and singing hymns, some written by the bishop himself. This moment is believed to have sparked the tradition of Ambrosian chant. But his greatest trial, the moment that defined his courage, came with Emperor Theodosius I. After a violent uprising in Thessalonica, the emperor ordered a brutal retaliation that killed thousands. Rome trembled at the emperor's wrath. Ambrose did the unthinkable. He publicly confronted the emperor and refused him communion until he repented. This was not just bold, this was dangerous. Emperors were not questioned. They controlled armies. They exiled their enemies. They executed dissenters. But Ambrose stood his ground. He wrote to Theodosius, "You have committed a grave sin. Repent, or you cannot approach the altar of Christ." The empire held its breath. Finally, in an unprecedented act of humility, Theodosius walked barefoot into the cathedral, removed his imperial robes, and asked for forgiveness. Ambrose had accomplished what few ever dared. He brought an emperor to repentance, proving that no ruler stood above God's moral law. Through miracles and suffering, Ambrose's spiritual authority deepened. His courage inspired thousands. His leadership guided the church. and his example became a model for future generations of bishops. But even a strong shepherd eventually grows weary. By 397 AD, Ambrose was worn. Decades of leadership, defending the faith, guiding the suffering, confronting emperors, had taken their toll. He felt his time approaching. When news spread that Ambrose was gravely ill, Milan reacted with fear and sorrow. People gathered outside his residence, praying desperately. They couldn't imagine their city without him, their shepherd, protector, and teacher. Yet Ambrose was calm. He told those around him, "I am not afraid, for the Lord is coming." He spent his final days lying before the altar, praying, offering himself to God completely, just as he had given himself to Milan for so many years. Even Stilicho, Rome's most powerful general, is said to have pleaded, "The empire cannot lose Ambrose." That was a level of influence he held, not just over the church, but over the entire political landscape. On the night of April 4th, 397 AD, Ambrose passed away peacefully. Milan mourned like a child losing its father. Crowds filled the basilicas. Hymns he wrote echoed in the streets. People wept openly. His body was placed in the Basilica of Saint Ambrose, where it remains today, preserved alongside the martyrs he loved. Pilgrims still kneel before him, honoring the man who shaped their city and faith. His death was not an ending, but a beginning. His writings would guide councils and theologians. His hymns would shape worship for centuries. His moral courage would inspire leaders long after Rome fell. And the young man he once baptized, Augustine, would become one of the greatest minds in Western civilization. Ambrose lived with conviction, fought for truth, led with humility, and died with peace. Saint Ambrose's influence didn't end with his life. It expanded, echoing across centuries, shaping faith, leadership, music, scholarship, and even the identity of entire cities. His legacy isn't something locked in the past. It continues to guide people today through his writings, his example, and the roles for which the Church recognizes him as patron. One of the greatest signs of his lasting inspiration is found in his relationship with Saint Augustine, one of the most influential thinkers in Christian history. Augustine walked into Ambrose's church as a skeptic, curious only about the bishop's famous eloquence. But Ambrose's preaching did more than impress him. It transformed him. Through Ambrose, Augustine discovered a Christianity that was not afraid of reason, philosophy, and deep questioning. Ambrose's teaching opened Augustine's mind, softened his heart, and cleared a path for his conversion. And when the moment came, Ambrose himself baptized Augustine, planting a seed that would shape Western civilization. Ambrose also reshaped worship. At a time when fear and division threatened the church, he introduced hymns sung by the congregation, uniting voices in faith. These hymns, powerful, simple, and theologically rich, form the foundation of Ambrosian chant, a musical tradition still alive today. Through song, Ambrose taught faith, courage, and hope to people who desperately needed them. His writings continue to guide leaders across generations. In On the Duties of the Clergy, Ambrose insisted that true authority must be rooted in service, humility, and justice. His bold confrontation of Emperor Theodosius, refusing him communion after a massacre, set a historic precedent. Even the most powerful ruler is answerable to moral law. And because his example touches so many lives and vocations, the Church recognizes him as a patron across a wide spectrum of human experience. He is a patron saint of Milan, a city he defended, taught, and loved. To this day, Milan carries his legacy in its churches, culture, and identity. He is a patron of beekeepers, honoring the miracle of bees surrounding him as an infant, a sign that his words would one day flow with honey-like eloquence. He is a patron of candle makers, symbolizing how his teachings brought light into times of confusion and conflict. He is a patron of students and scholars, reflecting his mastery of languages, rhetoric, and theology, and the essential role he played in guiding Augustine toward truth. He is a patron of beginners in the spiritual life, because he knew how to lead seekers, from emperors to young scholars, toward faith with patience and wisdom. And he is a patron for leaders, reminding them that authority must never overshadow compassion, justice, or humility. Every year, on December 7th, the Church celebrates his feast day, the anniversary of that astonishing moment when a reluctant politician was thrust into spiritual leadership. It is a day that honors courage, wisdom, and the mysterious ways God calls the unexpected. Through his life, writings, miracles, courage, and patronages, Saint Ambrose continues to whisper the same message to every generation. Stand for truth, speak with wisdom, lead with humility, and trust that God can transform the reluctant into instruments of greatness.